Are you a pervert or something? Okay. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
Hold on one sec. I just
National
want
Pornographic says it.
I'm sorry, Ken. You cut out there. They have a 15 what?
The whales have a 15-foot penis. I didn't cut out. You heard me. Google it yourself. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
I'm sorry, Ken. You cut out there. They have a 15 what?
Are you a pervert or something? Okay. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
Hold on one sec. I just
National Pornographic says it.
I'm sorry, Ken. You cut out there. They have a 15 what?
The whales have a 15-foot penis. I didn't cut out. You heard me. Google it yourself. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
I'm sorry, Ken. You cut out there. They have a 15 what?
Are you a pervert or something? Okay. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
Hold on one sec. I just
National Pornographic says it.
I'm sorry, Ken. You cut out there. They have a 15 what?
The whales have a 15-foot penis. I didn't cut out. You heard me. Google it yourself. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
I'm sorry, Ken. You cut out there. They have a 15
Are
what?
you a pervert or something? Okay. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
What's up, heathens? How ya doing? So tonight we have a couple of idiots that think that atheists have double standards in regards to the evidence for their particular gods. So I hope that you're interested in this particular subject, because I know a lot of people out there think that we actually do have double standards when talking about the existence of God, whichever God that might be. So we're going to tackle a couple of those responses tonight. If you're interested in that, then please stay tuned. Ah, yes. But first we have... Today I learned... I particularly fucked that one up tonight. So, first up on Today I Learned that the Shanghai heroin trade in the 1920s was dominated by two men. One was the chief of police, and the other was the head of the government anti-opium board. Wow. You know, this doesn't surprise me at this point. Like, learning these things about the past, about how the people that are, like, controlling that entire situation, or at least trying to, for, like, the state, end up running it. Like, I don't know. It just seems like par for the course at this point, doesn't it?
They want to know what you're drinking, and everybody loves your shirt. They don't understand it.
Okay. All right, so everybody wants to know what I'm drinking. The first thing is, I call it, this is just my own name for it, it's called Kraken cream soda. So it's basically 2 shots of Kraken black spiced rum and Sprite. And Sprite Zero for me. It tastes pretty much like cream soda, except it'll get you fucked up. Like, pretty good. He did. This is a callback to Jesse Lee Peterson. If you guys know who that might be, Jesse Lee Peterson is the guy who does a video podcast thing, and like every time he talks about somebody dying or succumbing in some way to something out there, he rattles off, "He did," and like I think he was talking about Elijah. Who was it? He was a senator that passed away recently. Elijah Cummings. So Elijah Cummings, when he passed away, Jesse Lee Peterson talked about how Elijah Cummings was against Donald Trump. And so he's like, and now he did. and he went through this long list of people that like went against Trump, and now they are dead. And he just goes the entire time. It's like, he did, she did.
So I got a new for you.
Huh?
So I got a new for you.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And KC, what was it for Christmas?
I think so.
It was either Christmas or birthday. It might have been Christmas. But she got this made for me, specifically from, what was it?
Custom ink.
Custom ink. And so she just did one of their standard fonts. He did. And, you know, it's pretty hilarious. Anyways, we've got viewer activity. Daniel M. He says, love the shirt. Thank you, Daniel. You'll have to, you could specifically make it on custom ink if you want one, pretty easily. So, all right. So next on Today I Learned is that, the Black Death was personified by an old woman carrying a rake and a broom. If she used the rake, some would survive, in between the teeth of the rake. If she used a broom, the whole population of an area would die. That is yes, that is very fucked up. I really hope we don't personify the coronavirus with anything. I don't know. I would hate to see the personifications of it. I really would. I can almost guarantee that they will 50% be racist. And then finally, we have Dorothy Thompson, an American journalist working in Europe in the 1930s. She was granted an interview with Adolf Hitler in 1931, after which she referred to him as, quote, insecure, the very prototype of the little man, unquote. She eventually became the first American journalist expelled from Germany, because obviously dictators don't want you talking bad about them. And they couldn't necessarily kill her right there, because that would definitely cause a war with the United States. They didn't need that shit at that moment. You got to take on people one at a time. That's how you take on a lot of fucks. Anyways, that's it for Today I Learned. Before we get into Out of Context Comics, though, I want to acknowledge anytime I get, fan art of some kind, right? And it's not always going to be the best fan art. This one's pretty good. I disagree with my personification in it. I had saved it on my phone one day, and I found it just recently, but... What the hell is this? So this is Simon Dan standing in front, and then apparently I'm in the back with my... looking like a fucking ogre or something, with my giant beard and teeth, and my face is like fucking white as shit. Apparently this is me, and that's Simon Dan, so... Anyways, I appreciate the fan art that I do get. We got Huon Roderick, who says, Brosifus 2020, wash your damn hands, #beta. I need also Jesse Lee Peterson. I really want to get a shirt that says beta on it. All right, now it's time for... let me get it pulled up here. Out of Context Comics! We're not gonna know what the fuck is going on. I really need to learn how to play the ukulele.
Why? You do it so well.
Do I do it? I do it so well, honey? Yeah. This one is... I'm not exactly sure what this is, but he just says, oh, darn it! I forgot to masturbate! I think this is from that, what's the Fat Albert? Is it just Fat Albert? Is that what it's called? I think this is one of the kids from Fat Albert.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyways. Oh, man. All right, so that's it for that. Hey, you guys ready to hear from Brosifus?
I
am. KC is. Shitty ass science. We're gonna answer some science shit really wrong. What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? Today we just got a general question of what in the fuck is this shit? What is this? It looks like God took a potato, ate it, shit it out whole, then poked little eyes on it, and then gave it feet. That's what it looks like. I don't even know what in the... Did somebody get a hold of that ray gun from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and somehow shrunk like a hippo or some shit? I would... How tall is this motherfucker? You can't really get a good size estimate from the picture here. This thing looks like it would tear you the fuck up.
It's like a dwarf hippo puppy.
It's a dwarf hippo puppy?
Yeah.
A hippo puppy. That's fucking unique. A hippo fucks a puppy, and then boom, you've got a hippo puppy, and that's how this little motherfucker was born right here.
People in the chat are saying it's a hippopot guinea pig.
Hippopot guinea pig?
That's what they're saying in the chat.
Hippopot
Guinea pig.
Yeah. You know, I don't see how a hippopotamus could fuck a guinea pig and then produce this shit. Okay? The hippopotamus's dick would be too big for the guinea pig in general. The hippopotamus guinea pig would not be a thing because the dick would fully consume the female guinea pig. I don't even know what the fuck y'all are thinking. This is some weird Japanese comic kind of fucking evolution right here. Yeah, I don't know. Leave me your comments with what you think this little motherfucker is. Maybe we'll figure it out one day. Maybe God just wanted to have some fun with his shit. Can you imagine God up there taking a shit and playing with it and like, you know, making like a little hippo guinea pig thing? And it was like, go play, my child.
Look at his legs. It looks like he's wearing hammer pants.
KC says it looks like it's wearing hammer pants. It might be. We might see him do that little hammer move like da-na-na-na-na, da-na. No, that's not the Hammer song, is it? That was Michael Jackson, not MC Hammer. Anyways, I'm going to go, y'all. This is freaking me out too much, and I've run out of commentary, so I guess I'll see you motherfuckers later. Burn in hell! Bye, heathens. Ugh. So, in case you're wondering, this is just a hairless guinea pig. So, right on the money with the guinea pig part, just a hippo did not fuck a guinea pig in order to produce this. It's just hairless.
Super chats.
I got it. So, Daniel M says, I hate when that happens. And then Daniel M says, my previous comment had to do with the comic. I hate it when I forget to masturbate too. I get to work and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, fuck. Forgot to masturbate. Shit. Now I'm going to be pissed off all day. I don't know, honey. I don't masturbate in the morning before I leave. I'm just...
I know because we leave together.
Yeah, we do leave together when we used to leave the house.
Yeah, now we don't go anywhere.
But yeah, I found this on Reddit. I was just like, holy shit. Somebody said that it looked like a miniaturized hippo. So I was like, well, fuck. This would be a good, like, shitty-ass science for Brocephus to, like, stumble his way through. Hippopota guinea pig. I feel like you could make, like, a rap song about that. Hippopota guinea pig. Hippopota guinea pig. I don't know. That'll be like a TikTok thing here soon, I'm sure. We got Drew's book review saying that's what bathrooms are for, GE, when you forget. Drew, I don't know. Does that say anything about what you do at work in the morning? Like, I'm sorry, boss. I just can't answer these dumbass phone calls until I go and whack one off real quick. You just hold on. Don't touch my phone when I get back. Nah, I'm just playing with you, man. It's all right. All right, so now on to the responses. So this first guy here, he's got pretty much a straw man to present for us. He's got a bone to pick with some internet atheists, and I don't know who in the world would be making the arguments he claims that we're making, but according to him, these are things that people say.
And it's a portrait video in a car.
Yes, it's a portrait video in a car, and he doesn't even, like, I don't know what in the fuck is going on, but he does not hold it straight. Like, it's like half of his face is in frame the entire time. Like, this is the best frame of the entire fucking thing.
What's with that scarf? Is he in the Middle East? What's he doing?
I don't know what's up with the scarf, but he's definitely arguing for Jesus. So, we'll find out. Hold on, I gotta set up my Bluetooth thing here so that we don't have production problems like we had last time.
Yeah, definitely. I'll listen quietly. Uhan did a super chat.
Uhan said, hashtag turn your damn phone. Okay. Done. Okay. Sorry, it was taking me a second to get my shit linked up. For whatever fucking reason. Alright. Alright, let's make sure you guys can hear this.
So George Washington.
Yep, okay, you guys can hear it. Alright, let's do this shit. Alright, so let's see. This guy has a bone to pick with internet atheist double standards, is what the title of the video is.
So George Washington never chopped down a cherry tree in order to display his honesty, saying, I cannot tell a lie.
First off, sir, please don't drink and drive. You're slurring. It sounds like maybe you've had one too many Coors Light. Okay? I would highly suggest not, one, doing a video in your car while you're driving. Two, drinking before you drive. I'm just saying.
Therefore, we must scrap the entirety of George Washington being an actual person who existed in history.
All right, so this is right up my alley, obviously, because we're talking about history. And no, just because there are myths or legends about real people in history does not necessarily mean that they were never real people. That's not even the tactic that you would take in order to suggest that Jesus didn't exist in history, or exist altogether. The best that you could say is that the magical claims of the Gospels do not represent the real Jesus. That's pretty much all that you could say.
This is the same ludicrous non-argument that people say, well, if Jesus didn't rise from the dead, then he didn't exist. Or if he wasn't born of a virgin, he didn't exist. As if those two religious beliefs have bearing on whether Jesus of Nazareth existed.
So I agree that just simply Jesus not being born of a virgin and him not doing the magical things in the Bible do not necessarily mean that he doesn't exist. I would say that that definitely disproves the accounts of the Gospels, but that doesn't mean that some version of Jesus couldn't have existed. So this is a straw man argument. It's also a false analogy because, you know, saying that about Jesus is not exactly the same thing about saying that about George Washington, right? For one thing, like, we don't have Gospels of George Washington. The best that you could say about the George Washington thing is that, well, that particular myth is not representative of actual history, which is pretty much the same thing that you would say about Jesus. I mean, those particular myths do not represent the real figure of Jesus. So I don't really think that there's any atheist, especially 5 years ago, that's out there making these kinds of arguments. But, you know, I admit that there are some very, how can I be nice about this? There are some very simplistic kind of people out there that like to make broad overgeneralizing statements like, oh, well, Jesus never existed because he, you know, the Gospels are a myth or something like that. Simpletons. Yeah, simpletons is a nice word, I guess.
Is it?
But yeah, so nobody really makes these arguments. So this is kind of a straw man thing for him to get upset about. I don't know where he got that from, but if anybody was making or were making these arguments at some point in time, I would suggest that they not do that.
It's beyond ludicrous. Benjamin Franklin didn't discover electricity, or therefore, he couldn't have existed. Columbus didn't truly, in certain ways, did not discover the Americas. Therefore, Columbus didn't exist.
Well, no, I mean, for one thing, those are obviously ridiculous statements, but I mean, he's just basically blowing down a straw man argument because nobody is seriously making those kind of sweeping generalizations, or at least they shouldn't be. So his counterexamples here, I guess, would be good if you were actually arguing against somebody that was using those as arguments. But at this point, just imagine him in an empty field fighting with a scarecrow, and he's just like, "Oh, I got you right here, pop, fucking Benjamin Franklin, motherfucker, pop," and the other guy, he didn't do it either, pop.
This is the weird argument that I hear from many atheists upon YouTube. That if one miracle did not take place, then he'd exist, as if any of the books of the New Testament were written out of whole cloth. They were not. It's a evangelical fundamentalist Protestant view of the New Testament, where nothing's real, it's just all taken on faith.
Wait, it's a Protestant evangelical view that you got to take the New Testament purely on faith? I don't even know what particular position he's arguing from at this point. I have no idea which particular denomination of Christianity he's really a part of, because I mean, he's shitting on Protestants and Catholics, and that pretty much covers them all, except for maybe the ones that say that, oh, well, I just follow Jesus. I'm not part of religion. I'm not part of Christianity. I just follow Jesus. It's like, well, that's part of Christianity. You're just non-denominational, I guess.
And there's no historical background to saying, well, because I was taught this my whole life, that there's no historical background to any of this and just has to be taken on faith. Well, then it's not real because it has to be taken on faith. No, Christianity does not believe this.
Well, I would say that if you have to take something on blind faith without any kind of corroborating evidence to support it, then it would be silly to subscribe to that belief, because there's nothing to suggest that it's true. That doesn't mean that you can't believe it or shouldn't believe it or anything, but I just think that you should only believe things that comport with reality. So, I mean, if something doesn't comport with reality, if something isn't supported by real evidence, then maybe you shouldn't believe it.
For the vast majority of existence and the vast majority of people who call themselves Christians they think this is the stupidest thing in the world. It's only in the United States, it's only the loudest, craziest people in the United States that expound this, and for some reason,
I have no idea who is actually making this type of argument. So he says the loudest atheists are out there making this kind of argument, but I really don't understand who could be out there. Like, I haven't heard any loud atheists being like, you know what, Jesus wasn't born of a virgin, therefore that motherfucker didn't exist. Like, I haven't heard anybody out there shouting that.
Atheists on YouTube who are very stupid jump on this and use this non-argument.
Oh, okay. they use this non-argument. Stupid atheists. Sorry, hold on. This for some reason got all fucked up. Reset. There we go. All right, so that was a Christian of some kind. I don't know what kind, but that was a Christian. So now we're going to take a look at a video from a Muslim man. And this is closer to, this is during like current, like this was uploaded like maybe 5 days ago or something like that. So apparently atheists have a double standard when comparing the evidence for both bacteria and viruses and God, apparently.
I just want to send a message to the atheists. You know, atheists, how many times we're giving da'wah in outside stations in London, or even we go to, like, you know, Ireland, the brothers went to brothers in America. We Muslims giving da'wah to the atheists. They drove us crazy by saying to us, no, listen, we cannot see God. That's why we don't believe in God. So therefore, they restricted knowing something. To know something with certainty, you have to see it.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that you have to see it. I have heard some people say, well, you know, we can't see God, so therefore I don't believe that he exists. Usually that's kind of an overgeneralization of what they mean. Generally, like when I talk about this particular subject, I say there's no discernible evidence that shows that a God exists. That's a more precise and accurate way to describe what I feel like most atheists say when it's like, well, I can't see him, therefore he doesn't exist. There's no detectable evidence to suggest that he does exist. Whereas, you know, with things that we don't necessarily perceive with our eyes, we can detect in other ways. Like we can detect wind in various ways. We can detect, you know, microscopic organisms in different ways. So I would say that it's a overgeneralizing thing to say, well, we can't see God, therefore he doesn't exist. The more specific way is there's no evidence to suggest that he exists that we can determine.
But hold a minute now. Why many of us are scared to leave their houses because of coronavirus? We cannot see coronavirus, okay? We cannot see it. But you're going to tell me, no, Muslim, calm down. We can see the effect of it. Likewise, the scientists, they seen it through microscope. I would say, no, you just contradict yourself, because you said the only way to know something, not all of you, majority of you, which I spoke to, many brothers spoke to, the atheists are known for that. Majority of you say, in order for you to know something with certainty, okay, you have to see it.
Well, I wouldn't say I would say to know that something exists with certainty, you would need some kind of detectable way in order to know that it does exist. So, I mean, the big difference here, of course, is that COVID, it has, you know, we can image it and scientists have seen it, but I mean, there are other ways that you can know that COVID-19 exists. There are the tests that people can get on occasion, that will test them for COVID-19. There's the antibodies that are produced by our bodies once you've had COVID-19. And just the way that the sickness sweeps through an area, you can know that this particular thing does exist. So there are other ways in which we can know. These would be not necessarily direct in that we're observing COVID-19 directly. They would be, I guess, more indirect ways. The problem with God, though, is that there are no indirect ways even to know that God exists. It's all very subjective to your own particular experiences as to whether or not you've gotten this evidence that God exists. It's personal experiences. It's like seeing somebody being healed with one leg that's shorter than another. When that's actually a trick that a lot of these faith healers like to play. It's fairly easy to do. You can find videos all over YouTube about it. Let's see, we got a couple super chats. One from Daniel M, who says, "Say hi to my wife, Amy." What up, Amy? How you doing? Then we got Uhan Roderick, who says, "Just because you guys are awesome." Oh, thank you, Uhan. I really appreciate that. I'm having to lean back to look because I got my microphone stand right here, and it's like right in the way of the friggin' comments. But yeah, so he's making a false analogy here between the evidence for both like viruses and germs and diseases in general and the evidence for God. I mean, he thinks that the evidence for God is substantial and is like the indirect evidence that we have to suggest that God exists. I mean, he wants to consider those things to prove that God exists, but they don't actually prove that God exists. He's making a leap in his logic there in order to jump to his specific version of God.
And that is incorrect because the mean.
Oh, shit. Hold on. Now I can't hear. For some reason, it's been doing this lately.
Because.
No, hold on. Okay.
Something is not restricted in you have to observe it. No, there's other means. Now you have to accept there is coronavirus. Otherwise, you should not be speaking out against those who believe it's a conspiracy. By the way, I don't believe that, but I'm just saying that. Okay? But the point here is.
So, wait, he just made the argument that atheists who don't think that his evidence proves that his God exists should not be arguing against the conspiracy theorists who claim that COVID-19 is not real. It's caused by 5G radio waves or something like that, or it's like a false flag kind of thing. I mean, this is ridiculous to suggest. Okay, there's obvious quality differences in the evidence for both of these subjects. The evidence that you have for God does not necessarily prove that God does exist. There's no hard link there. You make a leap in logic in order to get to that conclusion. So your evidence really doesn't show what you think it shows. Whereas the evidence for COVID-19 is substantial and definitely proves that it exists.
I don't want to lose a track. Let us establish knowing something is not restricted or you have to see it. It's not conditional. You have to see it. So now you can see the effect of it. Yes, we agree.
Yeah, so I mean, I would agree with this particular part of it, that you can look at indirect, things or the effects of something to know that, something happened or something exists. But still, he makes the leap in logic. I don't.
Likewise, you're going to say that the scientists, they can see it through microscope. So therefore, knowing something can be based upon the speech of the trustworthy ones.
Well, there is a level of trust developed between the general public and the medical professionals, So, I mean, there is that level of trust, but also it's not necessarily like a microscope. Viruses are typically too small to be even seen with a microscope. You have to use an electron microscope, which maybe is what he was talking about here. But even still, the big difference is we can take a fucking picture with it and we can see a visual representation of what the electron microscope shows us. You can't do that for God. You can't take a picture of God, okay? So there's vast differences in the evidence here.
Okay? Likewise, by the effects of something. Therefore, what about the effect of the Creator? There's nothing clearer than the effect of the Creator within His creation.
Oh, what are those effects? You mentioned His creation. I don't see any evidence of creation, so let's go with this argument from design.
The heavens and the earth and that which is between them. All of us, all this creation, give us clear-cut indication that there is a Creator, all-knowing, all-knowledgeable, and all-powerful.
Well, no, this is just a personally incredulous statement. Just because you don't understand how life originated on this earth or how life diversified into various forms that exists in now does not mean that a God had to be there to create it. Just because something is complex doesn't mean that it needs a creator in order to make that complex thing. Oh, excuse me. So, this is basically an argument from personal incredulity. It's an argument from design. Like, he's got a whole bunch of fucking fallacies all wrapped up into a nice little fucking shit package here.
Well, you can see the mercy and you can see the power that He can turn His mercy to His anger, the Most High. Likewise, let us go back to you are trusting scientists. You don't even know if they are trustworthy, they are liars, or they've been like, they are working for some governments. You don't know. Okay, what about the
Well, I mean, that's why. I mean, the medical community, like the scientific community, is supposed to be kind of, indifferent as far as politics goes. That's why we have like the World Health Organization. We have like, we have these collaborative efforts with other countries on a scientific basis. Like, we don't like the Russians, but we've definitely paid the Russian Space Agency to boost our asses up to the ISS. There are various scientific collaborations that have happened between nations, regardless of what the political affiliation is of those nations. I mean, if you look at Antarctica, is that right, honey?
Antarctica?
Yeah, that's the
a
continent.
word, I'm not sure.
Huh?
That's a word. I don't know what you're asking.
That's the southern continent, right? Antarctica.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I always get those mixed up.
The Arctic is the north.
The Arctic is the north. Antarctica. But Antarctica has like a treaty signed by a whole bunch of different nations, and it's only going to be used for scientific purposes, regardless of political affiliations. So, I mean, I get that you don't necessarily trust these people, but unless you're going to go through the trouble of getting the advanced degrees needed and buy like an electron microscope just so that you can physically see the best that we can do, physically see the COVID-19 or any diseases or anything like that, then unless you're going to go to that lengths, then you do have to trust people on some kind of level. You say don't believe in these conspiracy theories, but then you're trying to weave this conspiracy theory about scientists. So these are mixed messages that you're sending here there, bud.
prophets and messengers? So prophets and messengers historically were known amongst their nations to be trustworthy, truthful, honest people. You see, even though they never met each other, they came with the same teaching. So therefore, all atheists, knowing something is not restricted only, you have to see it, it's not conditional. Also, you are London, America, England.
You know what he reminds me right now of the food workers that like the servers and stuff that work with food, and they have to wear like a hairnet on their beards.
Yeah, I've seen that in the deli.
Yeah. I mean, this is off topic, but I mean, just the way that he's wearing his mask, which, I mean, you wearing your mask, I get that you're doing a video. Why do you have to be outside doing a video with like your mask halfway pulled down and like subjecting yourself either to getting COVID-19 or, it possibly infecting other people if you have it? I don't understand why you got to do that. This is an incredible display of ignorance throughout this entire video on multiple levels.
England or UK, America, France, people are scared to leave their houses. If you look out the window, you don't know what you're scared of because you cannot see coronavirus. So, but you see the effects of it. Likewise, you're taking the narrations of the people. What about the prophets and messengers that Allah sent with the clear-cut proofs? Rather, the proofs that the Muslims have to establish there is a creator and Islam is the truth is overwhelming and is a powerful, solid proofs. Alhamdulillah.
Well, that's because I don't think that your evidence proves that your particular version of God exists. So, I mean, yeah, true, you think that you have all this evidence, but it really doesn't prove your position. In this video, you brought up like the argument from design that, everything in nature, everything in this reality speaks to a creator. That's you assuming that. It comes from a personally incredulous place because you don't understand how the complex processes of reality work. You don't understand the complex processes of a fucking plant. You don't understand the complex process of evolution over millions of years. So therefore, you don't understand it. Therefore, God exists. It's a classic personally incredulous argument, and it's fallacious. Just because you don't understand how something works doesn't mean that God must have done it or some ambiguous creator must have done it. And all of the arguments that Muslims have, that Christians have, and both of these arguments prove different gods. This is no way to actually go about and being able to discern truth. If you have a set of proofs that show two different results, it shows that you really don't know what in the fuck you're talking about. Like, you have no way to discern between the two. So we've got a few super chats here. Quentin says, anyone playing Fallacy Bingo? We may have a winner! Yeah, I don't have my card, but I'm sure I definitely hit the jackpot. Eric Hamian says, yes, it definitely looks like a beard snood. I guess that's what they're called. And then Uhan says, show me God under a microscope. I'll wait. Well, if God's going to exist, he's definitely going to be that small. At this point, the gaps for God's existence keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So it's no wonder that God now resides in the personally incredulous portions of our knowledge. So, I would caution anybody that makes, sort of broad generalizing statements like, oh, we can't see God, therefore he doesn't exist. I would try to be a bit more specific in what you say. I'm not even going to deal with that first video that we watched because that's an obvious straw man argument. But in this one, be a bit more specific and say that, well, the evidence does not suggest that a God does exist. Which one piece of that evidence would be like, well, where the fuck is he? I don't see fucking God. Like, he ain't come down here and tell me to, shut the fuck up kind of thing. So I would just be a bit more specific whenever, discussing this topic online or in your personal lives. I don't mean to sound like I'm going all dad and like getting on to y'all or anything like that. Big Sky Pioneer 2 says, happy Friday, GE and KC. As you mentioned his waste of a mask, I was typing a chat. Damn it!
Hi.
Hi there, Big Sky. I appreciate you being here, man. All right. So, that's all here for his video tonight. Uhan Roderick just did a super chat saying that Sydney says hi. Hey there, Sydney. How y'all doing? So I hope that you enjoyed the show tonight. That's going to be it for the videos. We are about to go into the Skeptic Mafia comments, which normally we have the Skeptic Mafia leave their comments on the video that we watched that night, or on Friday nights. And usually the Skeptic Mafia comments have a lot more information in it than I provide. They notice a lot more things. They have better arguments on occasion. So it's definitely worth the watch to the end if you want to hear more arguments against what these guys are saying. But if you want to join the Skeptic Mafia, all you gotta do is hit that join link. I know times are tough right now, so everything's still, free here on the channel. We do a little bit of extra things for the Skeptic Mafia, so you don't feel pressured to join or anything. But if you want to and join in on the fun with this, you can just smash that like button or go to joinskepticmafia.com. So we're about to go into that. If you guys will, leave a comment after you leave on out of here in the comment section down below once it posts up. And I guess I'll talk to you heathens later. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. But don't go, because we're going to be going into the Skeptic Mafia comments. Let's see. I'm going to refresh just in case somebody's comment didn't pop up initially. Yep, good thing I did it too. All right. Okay. All right, so first up, we've got Sleepy in Seattle. Blah, blah, blah. Number one, paraphrasing. You can't see C19 until you do, and you actually can see it. It therefore must follow that you can't see a deity until you do, correct, and you actually can see it, wrong, thank you for playing. Number two, paraphrasing. Atheists say, historical person, fill in the blank, cannot have existed since legends about them are not true. Say, what? I don't know anyone who would say that. If someone says that, then they need someone else to create a response video correcting them. Video, no basis for argument, thank you for playing. Next, we got Quentin Van Boeven. First off, dude, turn the fucking phone. Portrait mode sucks, looks unprofessional. Holy shit, I was expecting a straw man, not moving the goalpost with 3 country miles.
I think he's worried about looking professional.
I don't know.
No.
No, Casey said no. He's not fucking worried about looking professional.
He's in a car.
He's in a car with a scarf. I honestly don't know how to respond to this guy. He is so indoctrinated. Any GE insert a shilling here. Oh, in case you guys don't know, we do a podcast pretty much every week. Mostly every week. We had to take off last week, but this week we should, I believe we should be having a podcast. Sean J. Sorry for the link, but come on, 2 videos? I know, I'm sorry. First video, let me just set up this straw man and then try to disprove it through a flawed analogy. Taking one story about a historical figure and determining it was a fictional story means we discount that one singular piece of evidence. It does not mean that we make a conclusion on whether that historical figure existed based on the veracity of that one singular piece of evidence. If we look at every piece of evidence and determine they are of suspect authenticity, then the likelihood that figure existed becomes less and less. An 8-year-old child tells you detailed information about their invisible friend named Bob. 50 years later, you pass away. Another 20 years later, and the child passes away. Someone else, 30 years later, writes a story about the child's friend named Hestia. Does that mean Hestia or Bob actually existed? Second video. Let me just set up a straw man and then try to disprove it through a flawed analogy. We cannot see virus COVID-19 with the naked eye, but using science, we can isolate it and show actual images of its structure and determine how it attaches to our cells. Nothing in science is able to do anything remotely similar related to the supernatural or extranatural world. Go back home and sit in your house with your bad analogies and straw men. If I attach a loose cloth between 2 trees, how do we determine whether the wind, a person, a creature, or a supernatural deity is causing the cloth to move/flutter? Through what we can observe, we can see if a person is touching the fabric. We can set up instruments to measure the wind. We can observe if creatures are touching it. Even if you eliminate all known potential natural causes, that does not mean that you can assert that God is the only remaining cause. That is a logical fallacy. All you can do is say we currently do not know the cause. True, and all religion has, the basic explanation for anything using religion is God. Either God did it or God wanted it that way. That's the only explanation that it has. So thank you so much there, Sean J. I appreciate your comment. Uhan Roderick, short comment, idiots. Ding! These guys are idiots. Yeah, I got it. Subscribe, join the channel, hit like, tell your friends, love you all. Wash your damn hands! I feel like that should be played with those those horns, the party horns. Wash your damn hands. Wash your damn hands. Anyways, all I can say is wow. What a rare display of intellectual discourse. I believe philosophers refer to these like-minded presentations as arguments from stupidity. Maybe their tongues got in front of their teeth and they didn't see what they were saying. I could hear their parents screaming, "That this is not my child!" all the way from the Middle East. I think I also heard accusations of infidelity and regrets about repeatedly dropping someone on their head. Remember, don't be a boomer. I can say that because I am one. Wear your mask. Be safe, heathens, and watch out for rogue computer engineers. They've been known to bite. Thank you so much, Michael Roble. Daniel M. The coronavirus has physical natural effects on our reality. Any effect Allah or the Christian God has had is explained naturally without any God. I'm pretty sure that if you wanted to get the correct microscope, you could see the coronavirus for yourself. I also think everyone should like and subscribe. If you're so inclined, join the Skeptic Mafia and make GE say, KC is always right and better than me. He can't disagree, nor would I. Thank you both for what you do. Have fun and wash your damn motherfucking hands. Further mucking hands. You threw me off there, Daniel. God damn it. Yeah, I went with the motherfucker. Wash your further mucking hands. Wash your further mucking hands. Anyways. Cadence. Vertical videos on YouTube should be outlawed. Also, vertical video in a car while driving. Both of these videos are super short, and I couldn't even get past the first minute of each. I'll have a stiff drink waiting for the stream to start. Whew! Hope you didn't start drinking too early. Because I know I'm about, I don't know if you guys can see it, I'm about here. I started out here, so I'm almost done. Eric Hamian. Scientists aren't believed because their statements are the speech of the trustworthy ones. They're believed because anybody can follow the same methods to get the same results and arrive at the same conclusions. The scientific method is explicitly designed to remove, to the extent reasonably possible, the need to trust individual speakers and take them at their word. This is a very good point that I did not highlight in the main response to this guy, because while there does exist a sort of trust between the general public and the medical community, that doesn't necessarily mean that that is the reason why we believe them. That trust is built from, evidence that shows, what they're saying is true. The evidence is what proves that they are true. I should have highlighted that a good bit more, like in the actual video response. Thank you, Eric, for pointing that out. Drew's book reviews. He says, wow, I have to say I am shocked and surprised. I have never heard this argument before. Lol. We can see viruses under microscopes, not only the virus itself, but we can also see the effects of the virus, and that's just two proofs. God can neither be seen nor can God's effects be observed. At least we can't connect the so-called effects of God to God. Columbus, Washington, Franklin, he is right on one thing. The urban legends attached to these historical figures does not prove their existence, unlike Christ, which is all urban legend and no hard evidence. I personally think Jesus of the Bible did not exist, but that the legend of Jesus may have been based on a combo of Jewish rabbis and other popular religious lore of the time. Might I suggest something that might help him? Do some more reading. I'm sure GE can give some recommendations on this topic, as I mostly read sci-fi fantasy with some science nonfiction. Until then, keep on reading. Oh, and sub to GE and become a member and get perks. A perk like all of the emojis that you see people using in the chat right now. I'm sure they're flooding the chat with emojis because we use the emojis all the time. I know at least Jonathan Hanchek loves to use the emojis all the time. But yeah, you get the emojis, and yeah, there's a monthly hangout too where you can hang out with me. I know last time we just sort of hung out together and talked and everything. So yeah, it was pretty fun. We talked about COVID insanity and stuff like that. Next up is Vanta Blue. When moving goalposts like that, it's hard to not fit something in. Sure, only people that study the virus under a microscope will see the actual virus, but have your learned men actually met your God so they can say they have seen your God? Not read about your God, not felt a presence, actually met in person. That's still not what it's really about, though. Science does what it can to be quantifiable, to be possible to measure or predict. Observations are not seeing particles, viri, molecules. It's being able to measure causation and results. As for the driving half-face, the issue isn't the details. The issue is that there are no historical records of your Messiah that hold up well enough. I do enjoy the little "nobody is saying this, only a few vocal ones are saying this. That means it's not an argument" moment. It's hard to backtrack that fast, especially when driving forward. Honestly, I am not really sure what he's trying to argue. That because there's no proof of the supposed miracles, it isn't an argument to use against Christian fundamentalists? Sigh. If we can't poke at the huge holes in another's argument, why discuss it at all? That's a good point. I do think that the legends thing is definitely an argument against fundamentalists and literal Bible believing people. Those things not actually happening in the past is definitely an argument against them. I think the very specific argument that he was making is just not ever used. Thank you, Vanta, for your comment. Jonathan Nickel. This is just bollocks. He has matched a straw man of atheism with an equivocation of the word see. I am certain that anyone who might have told him they need to see it to believe it weren't necessarily talking about visual clues. When talking about scientific claims, I would want to view the evidence, not necessarily witness the event. I totally agree there, Jonathan. We see the effects of coronavirus. We can see that there is an infection that is passed between people because of self-isolation. We can know of many examples where there is a delay between contact and others and the onset of symptoms. We do not need to look at the actual virus through a microscope to know that it's real. Then, after all that drivel, he makes blind assertions that what we see around us is creation. Prove it! I agree. He definitely needs to substantiate that God is needed for, the earth to be here, for life to be here in general. So very good points there, Jonathan Nickel. Jukane 726. Okay, I have an ordinary rock. What emotion is that supposed to represent? The only thing I feel is indifference. Those are not the same argument. While the myth of George Washington is not real, we do have evidence he did exist. It is not clear that one person did all the things that the Bible says. Even if we take all the supernatural junk out of it, the original story wasn't even about what they did on earth at all. So it can't be traced to a person. That would also not be something all atheists say, just some of them. I agree. Thank you, GK. Jonathan Handshake, please sing. I don't know why you guys love it when I sing. Technical problems with GE. Now make sure you hit that like button, then tap that subscribe. Then if you really want to come and join us, one of us, at the mafioso level or higher. Also, reminder to self, John KC is always right. One, if you have a mask, put it the fuck on and keep it the fuck on. If you don't, use your brain. If you're driving, put down your phone and pay attention to the shit that surrounds you, because you kill somebody. If you kill somebody, it's still murder. Now for a little self-plug. If you miss the outside as much as I do, come and join me on my YouTube page, where I mostly do outdoor videos and some BS as well. We all get bored sometimes. Well, I guess I'll let GE get back to the video. Oh, I almost forgot. Star Wars is not better than Star Trek. Hopefully next week we'll get the podcast back up and running. To the moon, Alice! So yeah, sorry about the podcast last week. We weren't able to get it recorded, but this week we will. We should be able to get it recorded. So be looking forward to that, there, Jonathan. Yeah, and as far as Jonathan's channel, definitely go and subscribe to Jonathan. He does a lot of great outdoors videos and stuff like that. So if you just need a break from all of the political shit on YouTube and all the drama and everything like that, Jonathan's channel is a pretty good way to go. Michelle Foster. Standard straw man arguments, vertical videos, rambling, and just look around you. Christians still have nothing new to say. Eye roll. Surprise. Pretty sure we can recite their arguments in our sleep. I don't actually have a segue for this, but go on and fiddle that subscribe button, tickle that like, share the video. Maybe one of our theist friends will see this and hopefully come up with a better or new arguments. Probably not, though, so don't hold your breath. There was 1 week where I had like 2 different people do response videos to me. And basically one of the videos was like a guy proposing a worse argument as a better argument. And I literally didn't even know what to say about it. I'm like, this is just a worse argument than I presented. So anyways. And if you can, join the Skeptic Mafia. It's cheaper than the Starbucks coffees I no longer have access to. Well, they're cheaper if you're, basic bitch. Sorry, Michelle.
They're more expensive if you're a basic bitch.
Oh, they're more well, yeah. Oh.
They're more expensive if you're a basic bitch because you have to have all the trendy fancy shit.
Oh yeah, so you got to have
cheaper if you just want coffee.
If you just want coffee, it's cheaper. So it's probably it's about the price of a regular cup of coffee, but you could probably get the highest level for like a basic bitch coffee. Just you got to pick. Anyways, sorry, Michelle. I hope you don't get offended by that. You know what we'll have access to if you decide to join? Whale dick. 15-foot penis. Come on and get it. Well, not literal whale dick, but the emoji as well as other fun emojis. You get to vote on videos and preview them so that you can leave comments for GE to read. I'm not going to make him say anything silly this time because we all know that Star Wars is amazing. I fucking agree there, Michelle. Thank you. Another fun perk are the Hangouts. So join the Skeptic Mafia if you can and become one of us. One of us. And then Jane Pewsecker says, I'm not entirely sure why this guy believes that there is a double standard for atheists during these uncertain times. I'm really interested to see what the evidence he has to support this idea. I would really love to know how he came out in this to you there, Jane, because I know you were kind of curious as to what kind of evidence he actually had. Yeah, I noticed. I noticed. So we got Uhan Roderick. It says Star Trek is inferior to Star Wars. Fact. And then Quentin also said, I forgot this, Star Wars is better than Star Trek. Oh, the same thing said in 2 different fucking ways. And then Big Sky says, Galaxy Quest is the best. I should put up a poll one day. Galaxy Quest, Star Trek, Star Wars, Doctor Who. And then we'll just let people fight it out in the comments. Well, I can only put up like 4 options. Yeah. Drew's Book Reviews. Can I just say sorry for the Trek better than Star Wars thing I started? I mean, it is, but this is just getting crazy. Enjoy your Star Wars, G and KC. Enjoy Star Trek.
He forces me to watch the wars with him.
I forced it on you one time.
Me to watch the wars with you.
You wanted to watch them.
What?
You were up for watching them.
Supportive wife.
Yeah, you were giving them their due, and I appreciate that, but I did not force you. All right, we got Michelle Foster that did 2 super chats. I don't know if she was trying to do like a text or something. But anyways, thank you, Michelle, for your money.
Alex Baranowski, apparently, do you see if there's any comments held up? Gary says his wasn't there, and Alex says hers wasn't there.
They could have. Let's see. Right now, my spam folder is like 1.8 thousand. Let's see. Not there. Let's see. Maybe it's held for review. That's only 1.4 thousand comments. Well, shit. Not Joe Witness. Okay, hold on. All right, yeah, they were caught up and held for review. I don't understand why. Like, I really think that the comments on like these types of posts should just not be held for review. I don't know how to make that happen, but apparently. All right, let me get to. Okay. All right, so we got first up is Trickster, who got left out. That's why he didn't put a space between a period, and apparently GE is an actual website URL thing. Trickster, not too many atheists I know would ever say. Not too many atheists I know would ever say Jesus didn't rise from the dead, so he didn't exist. The statement doesn't even make sense. Just because something didn't happen doesn't mean that someone didn't happen. There are atheists who believe that Jesus lived at some time, had a ministry, and was revered as holy. They didn't, however, believe that this man was raised from the dead. Doesn't mean that he didn't exist. As for the other guy who's trying to compare faith in science and viruses and a belief in God, we have proof of science and viruses. We have evidence we can see and test the validity of. How about some evidence of your God you are trying to convince us of? No, can't give us anything? Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Hey, be sure to check back, get back to me when you can, and we can discuss this further. Like, subscribe, and share if you are looking to be part of a group who may share your skeptical nature. Join the Skeptic Mafia today. GE can tell you more about what you get. Hit it, GE. Hey, the podcast, we go over the daily or the weekly, like all the news items from the current week. Like this past week, apparently gun nuts stormed the Michigan Capitol. I don't know if we'll talk about that, but that's an example of something that we would discuss on the podcast. Then we got Alex. All right. The atheists can't see coronavirus, but they are afraid of it. First of all, seeing something doesn't necessarily mean literally visualizing it. When we talk about seeing God, we usually mean having some physical way of perceiving it. We can't see oxygen, but we have evidence it exists from chemistry. We can feel, hear, and smell a lot of airborne chemicals or movements of air without physically seeing it. No God has any tangible means of ascertaining their existence. Secondly, I have never heard anyone state that God must not be real because we cannot see one. As for the second video, the guy seems to be doing the exact thing he critiques, but in the opposite direction. If no miracles happened, then Jesus must not have existed. Yet he espouses that if Jesus of Nazareth is real, the God of Christianity must also be real. Hashtag projection. That's a good catch there, Alex. Thank you so much. And then Gary White. Yep, that's the reason why Gary got held too, which I'm not sure. I'm wondering if maybe it was the hashtag that got you held for spam. I'm not sure. It really shouldn't be holding the hashtag. Anyways, obviously these two were speaking word salad. This is from Gary White. I really couldn't understand what they were saying. Okay, if they are trying to prove a point, they need to do some more research before they post videos. And they made me facepalm like E. Honda did his 1,000-hand slap. That's an amazing visual. Thank you, Gary. Oh, man. All right. Michelle, I think Michelle's having a little bit of trouble with the super chats tonight. Yeah, I don't think we got any more super chats. Hey, the chat revenue right now says it's 69. Woot, score for me. Anyways, if you guys want to ask me a quick question, I do have a few minutes where I can answer any questions that you might have. I usually try to pick out a couple of questions to answer. And yeah, so Eric came in, Godless Engineer, I had another super chat. Oh, okay, sorry. Eric Hemian, Star Trek Wars is better than Battlestar 5 or Babylon Galactica. Live long and so say we all. Shiny!
Oh my god.
That is an amazing collection of nerdy shit.
I do not approve.
Casey does not approve. So we got Chrismer says, yo, Godless Engineer, since you said you didn't want to see coronavirus personified, I gave Casey some pictures of just that. Enjoy. I'll have to check those out here in a minute. Let's see. Gary says, I played a lot of Street Fighter, and he was one of my favorite characters. Oh, yeah. I mean, I played Street Fighter, too. I would say Blanca was actually my favorite character. I just like the whole electricity thing. That just seemed really interesting. Michelle says, what I was trying to say is that I need to have soy because I'm lactose intolerant and don't want the shits. Except I didn't say shits because super chats can be stupid about that. Oh, okay. I get it now. Yeah, sorry, Michelle. I didn't mean to give you such a hard time about your coffee order. Quentin says, GE, what are the amounts of each drink in your drink tonight? Need to know. So it's 2 shots of Kraken black rum, the 94 proof black rum, and then just the rest of this. This is a 32-ounce cup with a bunch of ice in it, so just fill the rest of it up with Sprite, and you should be good. Like I said, it tastes just like cream soda, or at least to me it tastes like cream soda. I don't know, maybe I've got fucked up taste buds. I could. Drew's Book Reviews says, how are you guys doing? I hope you're both good. We're doing pretty good, you know. We're making it. So yeah, I mean, we're doing as well as just about anybody else. Jane Pusecker, how about the next hangout we have Star Wars versus a Star Trek debate? That's an interesting proposition there, Jane. Alliances may be formed within the skeptic mafia community. This will drive a Moses-sized wedge between. It'll be like parting the fucking seas, I'm sure. Yep. Michael Roble says, is it true Caitlin Chloe is always right? Yes, usually. Usually. Let's see. Chrismer says, don't worry, it's nothing terrible. It's just, well, some people like to fetishize everything. Michelle, I was laughing. I wear my basic bitch proudly. Good, Michelle. I'm glad. Alex likes vanilla and banana vodka. That sounds delicious.
Natja asked about thoughts on the Free America open business stuff.
Oh. Let's see.
There's just a couple comments down from you. Natja Witness.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Oh, here we. So Natja Witness. Not sure if you have mentioned it already, but he and Casey, what y'all's thoughts about the Free America Open Biz stuff going on at the moment? I think it's crazy shit. That is some crazy shit. You got people that with assault rifles storming capitals, demanding to have shit open, And it's like the governor of fucking Michigan is like, I just don't want my entire state to die. And they're like, if we want to die, we should die. And it's like, the fuck is going on here? I think it's ridiculous. I think that what we're going to see is a surge in more cases and more deaths as places start to open up a little bit too early. I know California opened up their beaches and everybody swarmed the beaches, and then they had to close them down right the next day.
Stupid. People are stupid, and that's my final fucking answer.
Casey's not drunk. She's just a little angry. Drew's Book Reviews says, we will just beam a photon torpedo at the Star Wars people's bridge. Lol. There really aren't bridges in Star Wars. Like, I mean, I don't really remember seeing bridges. Anyways, that could probably work. Gary White, Star Wars is way better than Star Trek. There, I said it. Oh, Gary White took a side!
This is fucking great.
Michelle, rumor has it that China may be starting to see its second wave already. Yeah, I've heard that plenty of places are starting to see that. There were these Japanese islands that apparently opened up their community way too early, and they're seeing a second wave come through. So I mean, we need to be careful about this. People don't need to have the opinion of, hey, if I want Corona, I'm gonna get Corona. Or what was the stupid fucking thing I saw? It says, give me liberty or give me COVID.
Okay.
Nobody's restricted your liberty, and if you want COVID, why? Like, you're just going to infect other people if it's not going to kill you.
Your freedom's not being infringed upon, asshole.
Yeah.
It's a public safety issue.
Yes, it is a public safety issue. Gary White says, mostly everyone forgot that I'm a Jedi. You know, that I remember that being a thing now there, Gary, a while ago.
Peachy said there will be a rise in cases no matter when we open things.
Okay.
She just said we need to keep it down. See that comment, Peachy? 2 under Michelle.
Yeah. There will be a rise in cases no matter when we open things. We just need to keep things to a level that doesn't overwhelm the hospitals. Yeah, I agree there, Peachy. And I think the current government plan, or the government recommended plan of the phases, it seems like a reasonable way to operate. So, I mean, I'm fine with that. I think the big problem that I have is the governors aren't following the phases. Matt Suni says, please debate Ken Wheeler. I don't know who that is, but I guess I'll check him out. Christopher Dave says, starting another flame war in the comments. DC is superior to Marvel. Ooh, that one's a little bit harder. I'm sort of like I don't know. I'm straddling the line on that particular conversation. You know,
Because you like Batman and Spider-Man.
I like Batman and Spider-Man, and so it's a little hard.
And you know what's impressive?
What?
I actually know that those are on opposite sides.
Yes, honey, it is impressive that you know that Batman and Spider-Man are on different sides of the superhero war.
Yeah.
Anyways, and then Mr. Shiguro says Dark Horse, and that's all you got to say. That's another comic realm, and it's just as valid and just as awesome.
But you know what? I don't even care where Captain America falls in the whole thing, even though I know he falls in Marvel. Still hate him.
Casey still says she hates Captain America?
Yeah.
Captain America.
No matter where he falls.
No matter
Even
where
though
he
I know
falls.
it's on Marvel.
Anyways, I gotta go, heathens. I gotta get my son to bed, and I'm just in general tired. So I will see you guys later. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Be awesome this weekend, and I will see you guys on Monday when we're gonna tackle what do you mean and why we should all want Christianity to be true. So tune in then, and I will see you heathens then. Bye, guys.